Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Combat Sports UK podcast. Really looking forward to this one. It's fight week, UFC 308. The press conference just went down a few hours ago, so we are coming fresh off that. I am delighted today to be joined by Jon Boguslavski. He is Max Holloway's #1 fan, so expect a wee bit of biasness in this one coming from Jon. How excited are you for this, Jon?
No biasness at all. What are you talking about? No, I'm super stoked. I don't think you can remember a Max Holloway fight that is boring. Don't consider the third Volkanovski fight or any of the Volkanovski fights, to be honest, but this guy's probably will go down as probably the best fighters of all time, especially in the UFC. And this is an incredible matchup. You know, Topuria is undefeated. He's a champion. He knocked out Volk in his last fight. He went to decision with Josh Emmett in the fight before that. Then he knocked out Bryce Mitchell. And I would say he's still kind of relatively unknown. Like, he hasn't fought consecutively so many times against so many big names to be really placed in people's minds' opinions of where he's actually ranked. However, he did knock out Volk. So we'll see. But Max Holloway is just on another level. I think he has such momentum going in after probably knockout of the year for sure against Gaethje. Knockout and fight of the year against Gaethje. You saw him in a different level. It was definitely his night. You know, Max is a humble dude. He will say if it's his night or is not his night. He gives credit to Volk on their third fight that it wasn't his night, and he said against Gaethje it was his night. And it feels like if Gaethje was winning, he would have said probably Gaethje would have given him the last opportunity to go 10 seconds, point to the ground. We never know, but Max is that type of humble dude, and he's just on the roll. For me, he should be considered featherweight GOAT. He beat Aldo twice. He has close fights against Volk, let's be honest, except that third one. Especially considering the first one, it was close. People argued that Volk won versus on leg kicks only. The second fight, I think Max won. I think he had 3 rounds to 2. He won the first 3 rounds, I think, clearly, until Volk decided to wrestle him. Oh my God, no. You got to rewatch that fight. You got to watch.
It was a very, very tight fight. To be fair, it is one of them ones where either way, it's not a robbery. It was a very, very close fight. But I did have Volk winning that one. I definitely have Volk winning the third one for sure.
I mean, Volk winning the third one, there's no question. I think that was a shutout. The second one, you got to rewatch it. You're definitely going to rewatch it. Watch it like me with unbiased eyes and see that Max won the first 3 rounds. I think you could our coin flip round 1, I guess, if that's how people argue. But round 2 and 3 was clearly Max's. The head kick, knockdown 2. Anyways, yeah, if you talk about Max's records as well, Brandon, if we list him, you're gonna go on forever. The podcast will be at least 7 hours long. Most significant strikes, most title shots at featherweight, most wins at a title shot. I think he's tied with Volk with the most defense and featherweight history, and he dares to be great. He went up against Poirier to fight for the interim. He wanted to fight Khabib. He fought Gaethje, and I think Gaethje is the boogeyman of the lightweight division. You're always excited for a Gaethje fight, and he just shut him out. Who did that? Nobody does that except Oliveira, but Oliveira kept getting dropped. Habib's different beast, different style. I mean, Max is a crazy fighter. I think you cannot count him out, even though the odds makers has him as an underdog. I don't think you count him out. I do think this will go to a decision, and we might see a split decision. We might see a biasness, the robbery he'll get it by split decision, just like Volk's second fight. But Max is that good. He's beaten everybody in the division. When he wasn't even champion, he beat everybody. I think UFC was trying to hide Topuria, low-key. So they like both these guys, and I think Holloway fought Cater, Yair Rodriguez, Arnold Allen. It's literally everybody who was going to be up for the belt, next for the belt, and just couldn't get past Max. And I think they kind of hid Topuria from him, so Topuria could get the chance. And this fight was going to happen eventually. I think it's even better is happening for the belt.
Why do you think Ilia Topuria is so well thought of? The bookies has him as a favourite. As you say, Max Holloway is one of the greatest fighters of all time. Ilia Topuria, his biggest win before Volkanovski was Josh Emmett. He's undefeated, yes, but what other reasons do you think the bookies and UFC fans are so high on Ilia Topuria? We've seen him go out there. That Bryce Mitchell performance, that was a beatdown. Ilia Topuria's boxing is some of the slickest I have seen. The way he rips to the body, the way he goes upstairs. He also is very, very good grappling. But as you say, he's shown it against lower level opponents, not this high class of opponents. So why do you think the UFC fans and the bookies are so high on Topuria that they're picking him as a favourite over Holloway?
I think partially is a little bit of the unknownness of what Topuria can do. We'll be honest here, Topuria is very well-rounded. I think he's good on the ground, as he did against Ryan Hall. I think he has knockout power, as we saw against Jai Herbert, Volkanovski. You just couldn't get Emmett out with that bald head of his that he was just taking all of it. It was a great boxing fight, basically. And he shut out him, or it was 50-44 to him in main event. So we know Topuria can go to distance. I can't tell exactly why he is a favorite. The two reasons I could say is he's undefeated and he knocked out Volkanovski. The only other people who knocked out Volkanovski was Islam Makhachev at a weight class above. So if they believe Topuria could do that to Volk, I see the odds makers thinking they could do that to Max. However, another record Max has never been dropped.
Did that get you one count? His knee did hit the floor or the canvas?
No, you know what? All biases removed again. I do think that was a knockdown against Gaethje. I do think that was a knockdown. I don't know why I didn't count that. It was a soft knockdown. Let's say it was like someone. It was kind of like half walking backwards, losing his balance and getting hit, and kind of for a second disturb his equilibrium, as of what I could tell. But I know it's a record he still holds, so props to him. I feel like it was a knockdown. You could argue about it, I guess, but on the books, how people win by TKO because of an injury. Let's say like Blades have a win over Aspinall. By the books, as a win. By the books is not a knockdown. So we'll go with that.
We'll go with the books then. So one of the reasons why this fight is so interesting, and it's not very often this happens where there's two stars coming at it. You've Ilia Topuria, he carries himself like a superstar. He's now got fluent in English over the past 6 months. He is Max Holloway doesn't need to do this shit talking. He turns up in his flip-flops. He'll fight anyone. He doesn't need to bring that side of the game. He lets his fighting do the talking. But why this is so interesting is because if any of these guys win, which one of them will, of course, and especially if they do it in spectacular fashion, but in my opinion, they enter the talk for Fighter of the Year. You have Alex Pereira. Yes, he's beat Yuri Prochazka, Jamal Hill, and Khalil Roundtree this year. But if Topuria beats Max Holloway here, he's completely shut the door on a chapter or an era in the featherweight division. Volkanovski was a very dominant champion. Max Holloway was the number one contender to him for, I want to say, 5 years maybe. Very, very dominant in the featherweight division. No one could get past him. We had a champion in a number one contender spot that was fairly cemented. If Topuria beat Volkanovski, which he did in spectacular fashion, if he goes out and does the same to Max Holloway, completely shuts the door on that era or that chapter of the featherweight division, that is incredibly impressive. And then of Max Holloway, that fight against Justin Gaethje that we mentioned, everyone talks about the last couple of seconds, he put a beat down on Gaethje. He battered him for 25 minutes. Yes, he may have got knocked down in that one moment, but the majority of that fight, for 24 minutes, say, he put a beat down on Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, it was a great version of him as well. Some people seem to think that it was a washed up version of Gaethje. Gaethje had knocked out Dustin Poirier with a head kick in the fight before it, and after that, Dustin Poirier went on to beat Benoit Saint Denis and fought for the title. So that shows the level Justin Gaethje was at. And for Max Holloway to step up a weight class to lightweight, go for the BMF belt, beat him in that fashion, and they give Justin Gaethje, as you said, the last 10 seconds, he gives him an opportunity to win the fight back. That is unbelievable stuff for Max Holloway. If he now beats Ilya Topuria, undefeated guy who's been running through the featherweight division, just beat Volkanovski, one of the featherweight goats. These guys have to enter the talk for Fighter of the Year.
If Max win fight of the century, honestly. Just kidding. I think it definitely talks. I do still.
I don't know if you are kidding.
No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna stop writing for a bit, but yeah, I think Perez definitely has the fight of the year in the bag, especially if he fights one more time. I think either of these men win, definitely in the talks. There'll be a really, really close first, as close as it could be. They'll be second because nobody comes to mind right now who could be fighter of the year other than Pereira and the winner of this fight. Maybe Rob if he gets another fight and he beats Drakus, or Sean if the fight in December. I mean, Max and Ilya, it's still time for. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna fight again in December because we have that card. But if somebody drops out, just I don't know, it's 2 months, but I don't know.
You're in the way Ilya is fighting anyway.
I think for sure, yes. Ilya likes to take his time, but I think Pereira has for sure number one. He's fighter of the year. He fought 3 times. He fought contender number 1, former champ, contender number 2, former champ, and he knocked him out faster than he did the first time. And he fought number 8, Roundtree, who's probably number 6 now because of Dana complaints, number 6, and knocked him out as well. And he saved a bunch of cards. Impressive fashion the way he wins. Pereira never got dominated except those 3 first rounds against Roundtree. So he just lost 3 rounds. But, it's hard. I think whoever wins this will definitely be number 2 fighter of the year. And people like us will probably argue should they've been fighter of the year or not.
It definitely opens up a debate. I think they have to do it in spectacular fashion. I don't think a decision win from any of them is enough to nab the spot off Pereira, but a spectacular knockout from either one of them, it definitely opens up the conversation. Official predictions for this one. I'll kick us off. This is going to wind you up.
I don't want to hear it.
So I love Max Holloway too. He is one of my favourite fighters out there. I think he's one of everyone's favourite fighters. What a guy he is. But Ilya Topuria looks special. I think he has got that thing, that superstardom. I think he has it. He walks about. See the suits and the tailored shirts he wears. He's just got that. Whatever it is, he's got it. Official prediction for me, I think Topuria will start strong. I think rounds 1, 2, and 3, he'll mix in a bit of grappling. I think he'll, the first 10 seconds thing, I'll let you answer this in a second, but I don't know if that'll happen or not. My opinion is it won't happen. It's Topuria that actually wants that more than Max, which is amazing. I'm shocked at that. But I think Topuria starts strong, wins rounds 1, 2, and 3. He'll catch Max Holloway with shots that would usually knock people out, but Max Holloway is like a zombie. He'll be standing there in front of him and he will have taken it. And I think Max Holloway will come in. His gas tank, his experience will come in rounds 4 and 5 and he'll win them rounds. But it won't be enough to win the fight. I think this is going to be a scenario where both these fighters come out of it and neither of their stock has dropped massively. It'll be an all-out brawl. I think there'll be blood over the canvas. We're going to have one of the fights of the year. But I think Ilya Topuria will come out with a decision win, 3 rounds to 2. Let's hear it, John.
I'm going to go opposite. No surprise. I will go Max win, but I will go by decision. I think I mentioned earlier, split decision. I think it's going to be that close of a fight. I don't think... I mean, people are counting Max out more for Gaethje, I would say. He's like, who's moving up, fighting Gaethje, and he dominated for 4 rounds, and he got a credible knockout. One more thing to mention: Gaethje did look impressive coming off a Poirier head kick knockout, but Max outsmarted him. If you remember, that spinning kick to the nose, which affected Gaethje
first round.
One shot first round. One shot could change the fight, and I think Max could do the repeat like that. I think we're going to see a lot of grappling from Topuria too. I think Max definitely has the height advantage. But we shall see. That's why we have this fight coming up Saturday, and I can't wait. But yeah, I do have Max by decision. It's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a close one. You can't count Max out. You can't count Topuria out.
Do they stand the bang in the first 10 seconds?
Oh, no, that's so stupid. I think Topuria just says that. Max definitely is not stupid enough to do it. I think Topuria is just saying that because Topuria loves to talk, and I don't think even Topuria will do it the first 10 seconds. He might just do this as a joke for the first 10 seconds, not as a joke, as like a taunting thing. But Max is not stupid. I think while he does that, he's gonna get hit kicked, just like he did, just like Jai Herbert did to him.
It would be very interesting, but as you say, it would be a bad move from either of them to do that in the first 10 seconds. Someone who will bring it in the first 10 seconds, Chimaev taking on Whittaker in the co-main event. Chimaev is back home. He's training in the mountains. He seems to have weeded out a lot of the bad shit that was going on in his camp. He seems to have weeded it out. He's a different mindset. He's being respectful to fighters on the stage. I've never seen this side of Chimaev. Are you surprised that he's made it to fight week? It looks like we actually are getting this fight.
I think they kind of did the COVID protocols with Hamza at this time, how they were fighting in 2020, 2021 early. Am I surprised he made it? Well, yeah, kind of. Hamza, he had such a big rise, and it just crashed so hard ever since he didn't make weight against supposed to be Nate Diaz, which is supposed to be probably the easiest fight of his career. But yeah, Hamza has to start strong. I think he has to show, like, look, this thing doesn't get to me. He's gonna do what he did to everybody before what was his last fight?
Usman 1 year ago.
Usman 1 year ago, yeah. He didn't rush him at the beginning, right? He came out with standing. But what he did earlier in his career, where he just ran towards people like he did against Holland and grabbed his legs and try to wrestle him, that's what you gotta do if you're Hamza. And then we'll see. We'll test Whittaker's takedown defense. But Whittaker, just like kind of Max, he just beat everybody except the champions. He just, Drake and Izzy have the only wins over him in the division. And he fought like the craziest people. He fought Costa. He ate a head kick. He fought Romero for 50 minutes, almost to an hour. Romero's prime. I don't think you guys understand. It's not Romero of today and fucking when he's 75 years old in PFL. This is Romero in his prime when he's scary. He would he would eat the Roberts famous question mark head kick and just keep going forward like nothing hit him. So I think Romero back then is much scarier than Robert. Robert's also still young. He's only 34 years old, I want to say, or 35. He's kind of leaving his prime. Is the end of his prime, so it's one last run for him. And I think he actually has the same record as Max, which is kind of funny. 26-7. They're both 26-7. They both only got beaten by the champion division.
Both legends.
And I don't know, it's kind of crazy. I feel like they're both in the same boat. They're also facing a guy who was undefeated, relatively kind of unknown, has hype behind them. Right? And there's also a 5-round fight. Like they're both kind of in the same boat. So it's kind of interesting. Whittaker coming off a big win last time too, off a first round knockout of the only guy who beat Hamzat in MMA against Aliskerov. Yeah.
That was a great win for Whittaker, and we were just talking about Max Holloway being a stud, but Bobby Knuckles is every bit of a stud that Max Holloway is, because he's took this fight multiple times with Chimaev. He's accepted the boogeyman of the welterweight division multiple times, middleweight division, sorry, multiple times,
well, yeah.
And the fact that he's taking this fight again against Aliskerov last time, even taking that fight, Aliskerov was someone that came in. He didn't have that much of a name value, but guys who watch the sport, people that knew how good he was. So the fact that he took that fight in late notice after Chimaev falling through,
but he was ready. Aliskerov was training for somebody else. He was in a training camp. So it's not like he wasn't like coming off the couch like Usman did against Chimaev and just fighting.
I think, it was an unbelievable win. Very, very ballsy as well. The 5 rounds here is a big thing for me because obviously Chimaev against Usman, he comes out, ragdolls him in the first round, which we've seen so many times. I actually think that fight was a draw. 10-8 that round, and I think Usman won 2 and 3, 10-9, which is a draw, but that's not the way the judges seen it, but there is loads of people that agree with me. So if Chimaev comes out and does that again, the question here is, 5 rounds, Has he got what it takes to go into them championship rounds, even though it's not for a championship, which is great that they're making us 5 rounds, but has he got what it takes to go into round 4, go into round 5, and keep putting on that pressure? Because based on his past performances, the answer is no. Against Usman, if there was a round 4 and a round 5, I don't even know if Chimaev would have made it out of the fight. So it's very, very interesting. Do you think that it favours Bobby Knuckles here, the 5 rounds? He's been in there, done that, fought in championship fights before. He's well used to fighting 4 and 5 rounds.
Especially Hamza, as everybody says, coming off being violently ill. I don't think I ever heard Dana say violently ill in back-to-back words in a sentence. But being violently ill, having weight cut issues, being so sick with COVID, and so you don't know. You do want to see him pass. Has he ever? I don't think he's ever been past round 3. So you got to see, especially against Gilbert Burns, who's a betweener between lightweight and welterweight, took Hamza to the break of jaws. But I mean, another controversial thing. I do think Burns won that fight as well. However, that's a talk for another conversation, I guess. But you got to show when somebody's what a fight. That was an incredible fight. I think Hamza thought he would just ragdoll him, but no, Burns with the jiu-jitsu just pushed him off. And I think, Whitaker doesn't have the same jiu-jitsu as Burns, obviously, but he's also a black belt. He's a Gracie jiu-jitsu black belt. It carries value and name behind it. He didn't have to utilize in the division against who the division has Strickland, Costa, Drakus, Izzy, who are not ground experts. Against Brunson, he took him out early back in the day, who was considered a wrestler. Can't think of anybody else who's a wrestler. I mean, Jacare Souza, but that was back in the day as well. But we'll see. We'll see. That's why this fight is so intriguing as well. Like it's this main card is probably one of the best main cards we've seen since UFC 300. I want to say a lot of people are ranked. A lot of people are undefeated. A lot of people on the rise. A lot of good fan favorites, Max and Rob. Everybody loves them. And same as Max, Bobby Knuckles doesn't have to talk crap. He just shows up. He's like, I'll let my fighting do the talking. And when he walks out, bangs his chest, it comes all right on his tattoos, and he's ready to fight. So, and he's on a momentum as well. So again, it all depends on how Hamza recovered from that violently illness he had, how well he trained. If he took out all the toxicity. I hope this is not a Conor went nice situation against Poirier and got knocked down in the second round. I like seeing some attitude about a fighter, especially you're undefeated. You're running through people. You can have that talk. So go ahead, but Bobby Knuckles is a different beast.
It's a chance here for Chimaev to answer a lot of questions. As you say, you think the Burns fight is questionable, and I think the Usman fight is questionable. So that's 2 big fights. The biggest fights of Chimaev's career is questionable whether he even won them or not. Do you think this is a number 1 contender fight for Chimaev if he gets over the hurdle of Bobby Knuckles? As we mentioned before, DDP came in this division. It was Adesanya, very similar to Volk and Holloway. It was Adesanya and Bobby Knuckles. Bobby Knuckles beat everyone that wasn't called Adesanya. He was the ultimate number 1 contender. So if Chimaev gets past him, it opens up that fight for DDP. If Whitaker obviously got beat by DDP, which put him in a bit of a sticky situation, but how better to earn a rematch? He's went out, beat Costa, beat Aliskerov, and if he beats Chimaev too, to me that deserves a rematch. You see people look at Mirab and Sean O'Malley, looks like O'Malley's getting an instant rematch. If Whitaker beats them 3 guys after being beat by DDP, he definitely deserves a rematch for the title. What's your thoughts? Is it a number 1 contender fight for you?
I think so. I think UC loves Chimaev enough to give him a title shot right away. They've been wanting to hype up this guy for welterweight. To give him right away unranked. Wasn't he unranked and fought Burns? Then he was unranked, fought Usman, and got into the rankings of middleweight somehow. However that makes sense. Now he's fighting number 1 contender or number 2 contender for Sean Strickland's number 1. It's definitely number 1 contender fight. I think the fact that Rob lost to Drakus, as crazy as it sounds, only helps him. The fact that we want to see the rematch and see if it was an off night for Rob, and you just caught him at the right time, right place. and see how Rob does. I know there's an Australia fight. They booked Australia, right? Rob's from
Sydney,
Australia.
February.
Sydney. Does Sean really want to go again, travel all the way to Australia when Rob is right next door to it? Okay, walk to the arena. We'll see. We'll see. February's a lot of time still. It's 4 months away. If the fight goes the way I think it goes, I think Rob might steal that title shot from Sean Strickland.
He may do that. He may do that, and there is becoming a good amount of contenders in the middleweight division, which is very, very nice to see. Official prediction, you kick us off with this one, John.
I'm gonna go round 5 TKO for Bobby Knuckles.
What's the fight going to be like? Is there Bobby Knuckles dominating for 5 rounds, winning? Let's hear it.
I think it's exactly how we saw Hamza fought Burns, Usman, everybody who went the distance with him, kind of. He comes out strong round 1 and then gets tired out really quickly because before Usman, Hamza hasn't fought in a year as well, right? And for Usman, he hasn't fought in a year again. So I don't see any differences, except this time he's sick. He was in for a training camp for Rob back in July or August and then got sick and then recovered. Is this enough time to recover back in October until October now? We'll see. But Hamza has never shown us he could go past 3 rounds. But now it's the actual test to go past 3 rounds. Either you finish Rob early or you go into deep water. And Rob can go 5 rounds. Like I said, he went 50 minutes with Yoel Romero. He went 25 minutes and some change with Izzy in the second fight. He went 3 rounds with Costa. He got hurt in the first round and he recovered enough to win the last round 2 and 3. So I just think Hamza's going to blitz round 1. Whitaker's going to do everything he can in his power, defend the takedowns and survive and not get drowned. And then we'll see how much cardio will Hamza have left after round 1. And that'll determine the rest of the fight. But I think it's going to be too much if you're thinking another 5 minutes round 2, another 5 minutes round 3, another 5 minutes in round 4, and it's going to be another 5 minutes in round 5.
I agree, but I don't think Whitaker's going to get the knockout. I think he'll get a decision win. I can see Chimaev winning. I think if Whitaker wins the first round of this fight, that's one of his biggest achievements in his career so far, because Chimaev is one of the most dangerous fighters within that first round. So I can see Chimaev doing Chimaev what he does. First round, he'll get a win. Second round, he'll maybe win that round too, but we'll slowly see the lack of cardio or the struggles that he's been facing. He can say whatever he wants about recovering from these, but he hasn't been right since this sickness started. Yes, he might have took some people out of his camp. He's training in the mountains. Does that change your physical health massively? I don't know. So these are questions that we haven't seen answered by Chimaev. Based on the evidence, he can't go past 5 rounds. So you have to look at the evidence, and I'm going for a Whitaker decision. This is a banging fight, but I cannot wait for it. That main event and that co-main, but they have put 2 better fights together.
Like we said, it's so similar in situations too. Like Max and Rob, everybody loves them. They don't talk a lot of crap. They do their fighting, do their talking. They came off of incredible knockout wins in their last fight. They're both 26-7. They're both former champions of the division. They both only lost to the champions of the division. It's like they're fighting people who are like, there's question marks around them, kind of, and like we want to see them win. And you could argue there's 2 villains. Topuria is kind of a villain, and Hamza's a villain. He except this week apparently, but it's. I can't think of anything better. I feel like of a better fight, especially back to back. I don't know if I'm going to be exhausted after watching, even just the main event, just the start of it. I don't know if I will last until the main event.
It's going to be a banger. I cannot wait. Next up, Ankalaev taking on Rakic. This is another very, very interesting one. Ankalaev, everyone's talking about Ankalaev here. No one's really talking about Rakic, because Ankalaev obviously overlooked for the title shot. Perhaps we've discussed this many times before, and we do kind of disagree with that statement. But there's a lot of people out there that think he should have fought Alex Pereira. If he wins this, he has to get a title shot. I don't think there's any looking past it at that stage. Obviously, last time out, he picked up a win. What was Ankalaev's last fight?
Well, Ankalaev last fight was
Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker
Johnny
back to
Walker.
back.
That's right. The first one was funny, wasn't it? There was a no contest. That's right. So he picked up that one. Rakic,
The
after
desert.
2 years off, Rakic, after 2 years off, comes back at UFC 300. First round against Yuri Prohashka looks very, very good. Won that first round. Yuri Prohashka does what Yuri Prohashka does in round 2 and throws some unorthodox shit at Rakic, and it's enough to catch him, and he gets finished in the second round. But that first round, he looked very good. To me, this looks like a striker versus grappler matchup. Ankalaev's grappling is very, very dominant. We've only seen one person beaten before, and that was Paul Craig with that last second triangle. So it's not as if there's a clear path to victory against Ankalaev. He's come up against good strikers before, and he still managed to win. But to me, Rakic has to keep this on the fight. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I agree so. But I do think Ankalaev likes to stand as well too. I think he wants to prove a point. He did that versus Walker. He did that versus Jan Blachowicz. So I think Ankalaev definitely will stand. He will invite and challenge for Rakic. I can't remember if I've seen Rakic on the ground too many times in the UFC. However, I think Ankalaev has to have a big win here. I think UFC might find a way to get Pereira up to heavyweight if Ankalaev wins.
Is a decision, a unanimous decision, win enough for Ankalaev to get a title shot next?
I think it depends what Pereira says. Obviously, he's going to be watching this fight, and he's watching. He watched Drake's fight. He's like, "I want to fight you." He fought Aspinall fight. He's like, "I want to fight you." He's definitely going to fight. He's going to definitely see Ankalaev was ranked number 2 or 1 in the division. That he's going to fight him. We'll see what it does. People forget that people say Ankalaev should have a title shot. Ankalaev should have a title shot. He had his damn title shot, and he blew it. He absolutely blew his title shot. And even if it wasn't a draw, in my eyes, again, Jan Blachowicz had that. I had Jan Blachowicz winning that fight 3-2. I had Jan Blachowicz winning that fight 3-2. Blachowicz bladdered Ankalaev's leg for 2 rounds. Then halfway through round 2, he took him down, but I did absolutely no damage. Absolutely no damage. How do you count that as a round 3 win for Ankalaev? Baffles me. A draw is exactly what I guess. It was either a young win or a draw for that fight. So Ankalaev had to do, like we're talking about Robin and Max. They weren't champion, and they went around and they fought everybody in the division who are contenders and make their way back up. Not cry for a title shot like everybody else is doing for Ankalaev. I think Ankalaev fought Walker. Okay, got a no contest. It was a weird doctor stoppage. You prove that is a mistake. You go have to knockout win versus Johnny Walker, which is kind of not hard to do, let's be honest. I think everybody knocks out Walker. And then you're fighting against Rakic. I think if Rakic wins, he doesn't get a title shot either. However, I think there's a lot more pressure on Ankalaev than Rakic. I think Rakic is, you were injured, you fought Yuri, you lost to Yuri, you're getting back into the fighting rhythm, because even before Jan Blachowicz, I don't think he was fighting as much as he should be. So it's a big fight for both these men. I think this would be an interesting fight. See who wins on the ground. Obviously, Ankalaev, we'll think about that in my mind. But who wins on stand-up, as every fight standing up, and who could land the bigger shots. Because Ankalaev's not a small hitter. He knocks out people. Rakic is also a big hitter. So let's see. I mean, this is a very intriguing fight. Very intriguing.
There's a lot at stake here. There is a lot to lose for both of these fighters. As you say, if Ankalaev gets beat here, he may as well just leave the UFC now, because he is definitely not getting a title shot. And it's a long way back for Ankalaev if he gets beat here. That he's not in he's not a favourite, whether that's because of his style, or I think he's been picky with fights in the past, according to the media and stuff as well. He doesn't seem to be a favourite with the matchmakers at the UFC. So if he gets beat here, you can pretty much say goodbye to him as a contender, I think. If he wins, I would kind of disagree with you. Yes, he did have his chance against Jan Blachowicz, and he did blow it. But looking at the light heavyweight division, he has to be next for a title shot if he wins here. Like, It might not be against Pereira. If Pereira wants to go to heavyweight, that's fine. It might be for an interim belt at light heavyweight. Who knows? But I think his next fight, if he wins here, has to be for the title. There's not really any fights there that make sense to me. Maybe Prohaska, but Prohaska's, he's been beat twice by Pereira. I suppose that is a good fight, to be fair, now I'm thinking about it. But
yeah,
it is.
Jamal Hill's up there. I was
Jamal
actually
Hill's there too. But I don't know. He's on a 10-fight win streak.
Unbeaten
or a
streak.
10-fight unbeaten streak. The one
With two of them,
that,
the two of them becoming one no contest and one draw.
Yeah, the no contest
There's 8
was
wins.
8 wins, 8 wins. But before that, Paul Craig, come on, he dominated for 14 minutes and 59 seconds.
Don't get caught in a stupid position.
Strip it, yes. But these fighters have to learn their lessons. It was his UFC debut, big stage, and Paul Craig's jiu-jitsu is, undoubtedly one of the best at that weight.
If I fought Paul Craig, I'd know what's coming. I just when he goes to the ground, you know what I mean? Like, his one move is jiu-jitsu he's taking whatever. He's good at jiu-jitsu. You would try to avoid those situations.
You would. I think it was a lapse of concentration. 1 second left in the fight. He must have thought it was in the bag. Can you hold that against him now? I don't think so. He's on this incredible unbeaten run. And I think a win here is enough to get a title shot. Jamal Hill's had a shot. Yuri Prohaska's had 2. Ankalaev has had 1. But that was a funny old fight against Jan Blachowicz too. I do agree with you. It was either a Blachowicz win or a draw. But I don't think you can hold that against Ankalaev too much. If he goes out here and gets a win, if it's a very, very tight fight and it's maybe a split decision, it's maybe not enough. But I think if he goes out and he even gets a unanimous decision win, then he does it in the kind of fashion that we've seen Ankalaev do before, very grapple heavy, just shuts out Rakic. I think he deserves a title shot. I'll kick us off for the official prediction. I'm going for a Ankalaev TKO round 2. I said all that just to pick him, to knock him out anyway, and do it in spectacular fashion. I think he's going to be on a charge here because he thinks he deserves a title shot. A lot of his fans think so. Ankalaev isn't going to be thinking of it. Oh, I've had my shot already. Maybe I don't deserve it. People in his corner and in his team and the MMA media in general, they are all on this. Ankalaev was overlooked. That does seem to be the common narrative here in the light heavyweight division. Most people do think that. So Ankalaev will be getting told that over and over. He thinks, I think he'll have a point to prove, and I think he'll be more vicious and more hungry for the finish. In terms of Rakic, 2 years out of the cage, yes, he won that first round against Yuri Prohaska, but he got finished in the second round. He definitely didn't win that round. I don't think it's enough. I think ring rust will kick in. I think he's kind of past it a wee bit, or past his prime. I can see Ankalaev going out here, getting a takedown in the first round, being dominant. In the second round, getting a takedown again, a bit of ground the pound to get a TKO finish. What do you think?
I just want to go back. I don't get the narrative of people that Ankalaev overlooked for a title shot. I don't understand that. He had his title shot. He lost it.
But that there is the narrative. There was loads of ones saying Khalil Roundtree didn't deserve it over Ankalaev, and they're saying that they're not giving Ankalaev the Pereira because they're scared of his grappling and they're scared of his wrestling, and he hasn't come up against a good grappler like Ankalaev yet. This is the narrative that's in the media.
It could be a narrative, but he got his title shot. He didn't get overlooked. He got his title shot. You're looking at the men down. Okay, Jan Blachowicz is injured. He fought Hill. He fought Prohaska. He's the next man up. Roger is basically next man up with a win streak, with a finishing win streak as well. He blew his title shot. I'm just gonna say that. If it wasn't Jan Blachowicz, who I don't know why they're dismissing him because he's a former champ. He's a former champ. If it was against Pereira or Glover Teixeira at the time, if he lost against or draw against him, nobody would be like, "Oh, I want to see that. I want to see the title shot." I think it depends who were the two men were in the octagon. If it was a champion was established, I think there would have been a different narrative. But he blew his title shot. Anyways, yeah, I think it's gonna go Ankalaev. I think it's gonna go Ankalaev decision. I think Rakic came back. He felt UC 300. He wasn't a big card. He felt Prohaska. He won round 1. He came round 2 was harder for him. I don't think Ankalaev hits as hard as Yuri or unconventional as Yuri. I think he'll survive more of those shots. It just depends how he gets taken down, how he gets stand up, if he does get stand up, and try to survive. I don't think there's ring rust. I'll disagree with you there. I think he just has to get used to being in the octagon again, because he hasn't been fighting a lot, especially before his injury. I feel like he fought like 2-3 times a year, I want to say, because I can't really remember his impressive moments. So I think there's that's a decision for Ankalaev to win.
That's probably going to be the most common pick throughout, I think, from MMA fans, is an Ankalaev decision. So we're moving on to another great fight. I'm looking forward to this one. A bit of English talent sprinkled on here. Lerone Murphy getting a breakthrough moment against Dan Ige. This is looking at the rankings here. It's interesting because Lerone Murphy's actually ranked higher. He's ranked 12 in the featherweight division. Dan Ige ranked 14th. But this is still a breakthrough moment for Lerone Murphy. I think so anyway. It's a big name in Dan Ige. Obviously, last time out, he got a win against Edson Barboza. Do you think Dan Ige will offer something that Edson Barboza didn't?
No. I think, Ige is the man, but like, come on, like, they're giving him literally the killers of the division. 3 hours of notice for Ortega, and now you're fighting Murphy, and I think Murphy is incredible
Lopez.
fighter. Sorry,
Lopez. He fought Lopez.
3 hour notice. He fought Lopez,
and they done really well.
He did really well, but 3 weight cuts for Lopez, 3 hour notice. He did lose round 1 and 2. Lopez got tired, and he's a killer. Look at Lopez now; he's the number 1 contender, and Murphy is right up. He's right up there as a killer as well. Murphy's undefeated. He looked amazing as Barboza. He almost looked like Barboza had him in a classic spinning head kick, and then Murphy came back, beat the brakes out of Barboza. I think Barboza was all bloodied up and messed up. And it showed Murphy can go 5 rounds. The heart on this guy is amazing. He has incredible striking. I think he's also well-rounded. His probably ground game does have to be improved a little bit. Ige is well-rounded too. His nickname is 50K. Let's see. Do they want 50K bonus here for fight of the night type thing, or go all out for? You have to do something incredible for just looking at this card. Someone has to do something incredible to get 50K fight of the night bonus or performance of the night. So you got to really stand out.
Co-main and main.
When you're looking at co-main and main, when you have a guy like Shara right before you guys, who I think had 2 bonuses already in 3 fights, or maybe one of them, you have a lot of well-known name fighters here, prospects as well. So it'll be incredible. Unlike Topuria's undefeated, Honda's undefeated, Lerone Murphy is also undefeated, but he's not coming off to like prove a point, to defend a belt, to fight a number 1 contender. I think Murphy knows the situation he's in. He sees, I think it's no surprise, he's on the same card as the featherweight championship. Is on as the main event. I think it's just to put somebody on the spotlight. I think he's probably 1 or 2 wins away from being contender for the title. I think he's really close. He's really close to that. Especially, we don't know. We have a fight coming up now. We have Volkan. We don't know what's happening with him. Lopez just won, who's also trying to be contender. And if Murphy can jump right back there with Sterling and Ivlev fighting, like, he's in a good spot if he wins.
He's in a very good spot if he wins. And I think this is... I'm looking at Dan Ige as a gatekeeper here for Lerone Murphy. I think if Lerone Murphy can get through the gates of Dan Ige, all them contender fights open up for him. One I'm going to throw out there to you. I actually disagree with you in the fact that you think it might be another few fights after this. I think if he beats Dan Ige, he can look at someone maybe like a Arnold Allen, an all-English fight. Mm-hmm. Interesting one. But I think that's the kind of level that he will be hitting if he gets through Dan Ige. Josh Emmett, you could throw in there as well. Some great fights for him.
Emmett hasn't fought in a while, yeah.
since he hasn't fought since Bryce. He nearly killed Bryce Mitchell and hasn't fought since. I don't know what he's
Nearly.
doing. So he's on an 18-fight win streak, and what I want to see here from Lerone Murphy or from Danny Gay, I want Danny Gay to pull him into the fire. Lerone Murphy is a very slick striker. We haven't seen him in the fire a massive amount. I want Danny Gay to really test him, and they try and force Lerone Murphy. They bring out a more vicious side of him, because Lerone Murphy is very decision heavy. We have seen the knockout power before, but it's not consistent. So this here's probably what the matchmakers have been looking at here. They need someone 50k, as you say, Danny Gay, who is going to chase the bonus. He is going to make us a brawl and make this. He is going to make Lerone Murphy dig very, very deep here in order to get the win. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. Official prediction for this one, John. Let's hear it.
As you mentioned that he's a decision maker, I am going with Lerone Murphy decision. I think it's gonna be an incredible fight. I think Ige, like you said, is gonna step forward, bring it to a brawl. We'll see how talented his striking is, and see if he maybe get a knockout. But I don't think Ige is easy to knock out.
Ige's not an easy person to knock out, and in terms of my decision, I'm gonna go with you on that one, a Lerone Murphy decision, because Ige he's going to be there at the end of that fight. He was able to withstand what Diego Lopez threw at him, and them first 2 rounds, it was tight enough, but Diego Lopez threw a lot at him in them first 2 rounds. He was able to walk through it. We've seen him walk through tough moments before, so I think it'll be no different. But I think Lerone Murphy's striking is just going to be too good for him. But this fight is a sleeper fight. This may be fight of the night. I think this is going to be a banger, in my opinion. So moving on to the main card opener. I've been looking forward to speaking about this one. Magomed Sharabullah taking on Arman Petrosian. I completely butchered his name there. I do that all the time.
Petrosian, yeah.
This is an all-out striking matchup. We've got 2 guys here who've spent a large amount of their life. Obviously, Sharabullah spent a large amount of his adult life in Thailand, learning the sport of Muay Thai. Petrosian done the same. Former 2-time world Muay Thai champion. This is going to be a stand and bang. It's going to be a good one. I actually haven't been impressed with Sharabullah so far. I think he's kind of a bit overhyped. I think because of the kind of aura that he brings and the look that he brings, I think he's been overhyped, to be honest. I wasn't overly impressed with his fight. Who was his fight against? They brought him in to make his debut in the UFC. What was his name?
Bruno Silva.
No, it was
Antonio Tricoli.
That's right. Tricoli. It took him to the last
winning
round.
That fight.
Yeah. It took him to the last round. Mikhail Olechenchuk as well. A decision win. He didn't get him out of there. I don't know. Sharabullah, he's a very, very... He's what I would call a sexy striker. See the spinning back kicks and everything that he throws. Very, very appealing and attractive to look at. But it hasn't been the most effective so far. But this matchup does suit him. This isn't someone that's going to take him down, because we've seen him struggle on the ground before. But Arman Petrosian isn't going to take him down. He's going to stand and bang and try and use his Muay Thai background as well. How do you see this one faring up? Is this Sharabullah's toughest fight yet?
I do have Petrosian and Olejniczak on the same level, so it's tough to say. It could be definitely. I think every next fight you have in UFC is definitely tougher and tougher. But yeah, everything you just said, I agree with. I think the aura, that's what people hype him about. A Dagestani that doesn't wrestle, that has good striking. He has, some pretty kicking. That's what I'll call it, some pretty kickboxing. So yeah, I don't know if that transfers to power, because when he knocked out Tricolo was with a left hook. It probably was more of Tricolo slowing down, getting all the adrenaline out of his body for fighting his UFC debut. And he has one eye. So I think that's all that aura mixed together. People are interested, but I think he's an interesting fighter. He has kickboxing, is really good kickboxing. Does have massive power, when he hits you in the body with a body kick, are you like, oh, that kind of must have hurt, or like, oh, they look cool, they look good. It was pinpoint accurate. But not to diminish that style, like Izzy's kind of somebody like that too. Like he fought with pinpoint precision and made his way to the title and became a successful champion. So it's curious to see how he does it. Petro sounds good. He's like Dana's favorite word is a very durable guy. So let's see how this fight goes out. Standing on the feet, I think you wish to see somebody who would match the striking level of Shara. I don't know if Armin Petrosyan is that guy. He does have hard. He has hard fights. He hits hard, but not in volume. He doesn't have many knockouts in his career, if I'm not mistaken. And he's more of a filler guy to put on the prelims and other cards to be like, okay, here's another fight here. But it's still intriguing. It's so intriguing because we know both these people, so it's interesting to see. I think Shara has everything to lose here, and Armin has nothing to lose or win here. It's just to get a name on his record.
It is one of them situations where everyone's watching this fight for Shara Bullet. They're not watching it for Armin Petrosyan. Official prediction, I'm going for a Shara Bullet decision. For everything we just said, he's got the sexy striking, and I think he will be able to outstrike Petrosyan. I think his striking's on a different level, but he's not got that knockout power, so I can see him getting a decision win here. I think he'll do enough over 3 rounds, but I'm not too high on Shara Bullet so far. I want something impressive from him in this fight.
Just a side note, just for a good card, we all agree it's a good card. We see a lot of decisions, right? We said a lot of decisions, but it's gonna be bangers. I was saying this about UC 307 with Pereira and Roundtree, and you guys, it's gonna be a snooze fest, well, about decisions, and I disagree with you guys. Even decision could be good fights. Anyways, just want to bring out my point. I think it's gonna go Shara decision as well. I think it's gonna be like Petrosyan just a step behind the whole fight, try and block some kicks, some punches.
Yeah, I think similar to the Ankalaev. You've once see if they're two in a row, John. So you have with an Ankalaev decision and a Shara Bullet decision. That was
say that one more time, sir.
Safe picks. You went very, very safe there with your Shara Bullet decision and your Ankalaev decision as well. So you have
it's not safe, it's just reality. It's just, what is Ankalaev, you knocked out Walker, but I don't know who didn't. You took Blachowicz to decision. You took Thiago Santos to decision. You took Ozdemir to decision. You took Krylov to decision. It's are they worse than Rakic? Yeah. So I do definitely think Rakic could survive for 3 rounds, 3 5-minute rounds. It's not as much as Hamza has to survive for 5 rounds against Whitaker. It's not it's. And then the Shara hasn't proven, like you said to us, that he has the finishing ability. If Armin takes him down, he's screwed. He's not good at wrestling. I don't see him also having the urgency to get up. I think he's gonna wait till the bell will run out and then start in the next round of feet, as I think he did in his first fight against Bruno Silva, and just do his his leg kicks that he was doing, trying to kind of like 2 siblings are fighting and one of them is on the ground. Like it's not safe. It's just how I see it's reality, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. I think you would agree with the same thing. Yeah,
I hear you. I hear you. I do hope we get more finishes than what we've picked. Obviously, you've went Bobby Knuckles finish, where I haven't. We think Lerone Murphy decision. The main event, our finish could come from anyone in that one, to be fair. But as you say, they can be banging fights and go to a decision. Like, I think at the Lerone Murphy one, that's going to be a banging fight, and the chances are that will probably go to a decision. And Ankalaev, I don't know if that's going to be a banging fight, but I can obviously the decision is the most likely outcome there as well. We'll look at the prelims. Let's hear you.
That's why people are mad with, like, when people are like, "Oh, decision's gonna suck." Decisions aren't gonna suck if the people bring it. If they fight like Ankalaev fought against Blachowicz the last 3 rounds, you're gonna hate it. You're gonna suck if the guy just takes you down and holds you down there. But if there's some action, if I don't mind that it goes to decision, if we see some incredible wrestling, some slick, switch position changes, some jiu-jitsu, like, it would be incredible. Like, look at Ortega versus Lopez. That went 3 rounds. Nobody complained. That was a still incredible fight. Lopez went for it. When Max fought Gaethje, that was gonna go 5 rounds. Nobody complained about that. As long as the fight is interesting, 2 men want it as much as they want it, and not just be okay with a decision win, with just to get another W in your record, people will like it. People will hate it if you're like that. But if you are in it and if you bring an exciting fight for a decision, and especially if it's like super close, like split decisions are fun too. If you make it super close to like people are like, oh, I got this guy winning, but it was an incredible fight. That's what's gonna maybe more people tune in, not just like pray and lay on the guy. Show that you're superior in wrestling. Move the guy around. Show him different positions. Find some opening. Get some ground and pound. Get an urgency to finish a fight. And if you realize the guy's too tough for his own good, find another way. Keep showing that you're the man. Make the ref try and step in. Be like, okay, you got to work or give it. I'll call it off.
Hopefully, we don't get any Mario Batista performances in there anyway.
Or Shevchenko, Grasso, O'Malley, Merab. We had a few of them.
There's been too many recently, hasn't there?
That's why we've had so many recently that we're like, decision sounds like a bad thing, but it shouldn't be. Yeah. Especially 3 rounds, it's 15 minutes. That's it. Yeah.
Another couple of fights we mentioned as well that went to decision. Look at Usman Chimaev, Burns Chimaev, 2 banging fights that went the distance as well. So I do agree with you 100% that decision doesn't mean a bad fight, and I think that is a common misconception, but it is a misconception in today's world MMA. because of recent fights, and recent cards. It does seem that sort of heavy grappling without actually looking for a finish has been quite superior at the minute.
One of the best fights of all times have been decisions too, if you think about it. Gaethje Fiziev, and I'm just blank all of a sudden, but Wei Li, JJ. That was the crowd. Adesanya and Kelvin Gastelum. Those are all 5 rounds I'm talking about, except Gaethje. But like it has to be exciting. Like, you are a striker, prove you're the better striker. Like, you just gotta make it exciting. Not just be okay with another boring W on your record. It just, I think, it's recency bias because we had so many recently of decisions like that. They're like. Like, even I'll give credit to Pena and Pennington. That wasn't a boring fight. I think that was incredibly. That was a good scrap. Exactly, it was a good scrap. Nobody would be like, "Oh, scrap the women's division." No, it was a good fight. We had almost knockout. We had people when Pena took her down. It's not like she wasn't trying to finish her. She got a few ground and pounds in there. She tried to move her to the top, and then the round ended. So it was good. You just got to find the right time to do it and do it right.
Can I throw in another one on there that went to a decision? Rory McDonald against Robbie Lawler. Won.
Absolutely. That was a decision. Oh, the one. Yes, okay.
One.
Yeah.
That was. Right, moving on. Prelim picks. Some good ones on here. RDA against Jeff Neal. There's a lot at stake in that one. Both of them's lost 2 in a row. With some undefeated guys. Rafael Krugerra, Farad Basharat, Chris Barnett. He's not undefeated, but he's very, very exciting. He's going to be fighting.
He's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT. He is the real GOAT. Forget Tom Aspinall, heavyweight GOAT. Forget John Jones, Stipe. Chris Burnett is the man. What's jumping out at you, John?
Say that again?
What fights are jumping out at you on the prelims?
So you spoke too Irish to me, so I was like, hold on. I mean, Jeff Neal, RDA for sure. I hope this is the Jeff Neal of Shavkat and not the RDA of his recent fights, if you know what I'm talking about. RDA has been kind of just grappling people to a decision.
Yeah.
Although I do have him my parlay going decision, so I wouldn't mind that. But I think Jeff Neal has hands of steel, right? That was his nickname. Every time he landed a punch, you're like, he's gonna knock him out. He's not. Yeah. So that's gonna be a cool fight. I don't know why RDA took this fight. I guess to move up the welterweight rankings at fucking 74 years old, so I don't understand. That's gonna be an incredible fight. I think, is this the first time Abus Magomedov's fighting since Sean Strickland lost?
It could be. That seems like a lifetime ago. Surely not.
Yeah, he lost to Carlo. Yes, Caio.
And he actually won against Warley Alves as well.
So let's see if he continue, because there was a lot of hype and they just threw him in the main event against Strickland, and that's how Strickland got his title shot. Oral by Beck Orlby. He looks like a caveman. His first fight, he actually finished. What's the fella's name? His UFC fight debut. Not Calvin. Urs Medrick.
Elvis Brenner. Oh, his debut.
His debut. He did a neck crank, and I think that was pretty impressive. And then he went on to beat Elvis Brenner, but we showed that he still needs some. He's dominant on the ground for sure, but he still needs some improvement. Good little prospect on the rise for the lightweight division. And Chris Barnett. Who's not excited for Chris Barnett fight week? I just want to see him do a backflip. I want a front flip, dance his way to the octagon.
How does that man do a backflip?
Athleticism, something we can't relate.
That's incredible. That's one of the most remarkable things about him is that backflip he does.
Let's be honest. Chris Barnett could probably make middleweight if he took himself seriously. But that's incredible. That's the movement of the middleweight bringing to a heavyweight division is cool. You have to say his name, Kennedy. Who's his opponent, Kennedy?
Yes, I'll double check.
Can you say his name? I can't say his name for the life of me.
Slip me mind. 2 seconds. I'll need to read it at least. Kennedy and Chuckawee.
Yeah. I keep forgetting to say it.
I'm close.
Yeah.
I butcher it every time. Sometimes I just try and avoid saying names like that.
I just say Kennedy, the Nigerian. But yeah, I think it's intriguing. He lost his last fight against OSP, and I thought it was an embarrassment for him. I think he should have retired from MMA in general to losing to OSP. But he's moving to heavyweight. See how he does. I think it's a cool matchup. I do know Chris Barnett is the underdog. I wonder why, especially coming off.
That's a strange one, I'd say.
I think just Kennedy is so much taller than him, but Barnett could land his kicks could land anywhere. He could touch the arena's jumbotron if he wanted to. So I think landing on Kennedy wouldn't be a problem. I think it's gonna be a fun fight. I think everybody's excited for Chris Barnett.
Have you got him in your parlay?
We'll see. We'll see day of the fight how I feel. But I do have a thing for RDA, Whitaker, Holloway 3-man underdog parlay. I think what Ian Gary did to Neil the last fight. We're just hugging him against the cage for 15 minutes. RDA is a much better wrestler, and he's shown he could take down bigger people than him. And I don't think Neil's a good wrestler, so I do see a scenario where RDA takes down Neil, puts him against the octagon like he did against Luke, against Ryan Barberina, against everybody like that. I see it. There's a possibility it could go like that. So I wouldn't. If I had my pace of a parlay, I would go with the 3 underdogs: RDA, Whitaker, Holloway. Both 3 people who have a lot to fight for, have a lot at stake.
That'll be paying out a nice bit of money. I might actually jump on that one. I hope Holloway wins. I don't think he will, but I hope he does. Fingers crossed. You'll be partying. What time's it on for you, John? In Canada, it must be a weird one. Is it during the day?
Yeah, it starts at 2 p.m. The main card. The prelims start at 10 a.m. Which is
that too early to have beers?
It's never too early to have beers. What are you talking about? No, it's luckily I'm not working this weekend, so I could usually in the weekends I sleep in. So at 10 a.m. I just turn on the TV right away. UFC Fight Pass. Hopefully it's on the prelims, early prelims. I just put it on there, and that's my wake up alarm.
Perfect. Sounds nice. It's going to be on at prime time for us. I will actually be in the pub. I'm going to a fancy dress. So I'll be standing in the pub with my fancy dress costume on, watching it, which will be good fun.
Don't get too wasted by the main event, though, right?
No matter what, I'll enjoy it. I'm not going to promise that I'm not too wasted because there's a good chance I might be. Really looking forward to this one. It's going to be a banging card. There's potential to be card of the year for sure. Really looking forward to it. John, thank you very much for joining me as always, and hopefully, come Monday when we're doing the review pod, we'll be able to discuss some unbelievable fights some unbelievable decision wins and not some boring decision wins.
And how rich we are.
Yeah,
Right.
and how rich we are. We might not actually be able to come on Monday. We might be counting our thousands and going off on a wee holiday or a cruise or something like that. Who knows?
No, the first podcast on our private boat.
If them underdogs come in, it's happening. It's happening. Max Holloway, Whittaker, and who else?
RDA.
RDA.
Unfortunately.
RDA. Let's do it, folks. That is the parlay you want for this weekend. John, thank you very much for joining me as always. Much appreciate it.
It's always fun talking with you about these fights. Hopefully Dan can fix his internet issues and join us next time, because I'm sure he has some good parlay picks and lottery numbers he has to give us.
We actually can't let him get away without giving us his parlay picks. Dan has picked unbelievably well over the past 3 cards. He has Mystic Meg, some of his picks. Last card, no. The one before. What was it? Trying to think what card it was he picked really, really well at.
I think
UFC
he didn't.
He done well.
I was the only one that had Pennington, I remember, and I was very happy about. I was the only one that had Penny on that fight. We all had Pereira. That I think, did he go Moicano?
He went Moicano. No, he went BSD.
I think we all went BSD.
Yeah.
So there was a couple, but
there has been a couple, but where I was like, "How did you pick this?" The Kayla Harrison, the decision, that was a big one. That was a good one.
I mean, I guess that was one of 2 choices, either submission or decision. I wouldn't give him too much credit. I do have his picks here if you wanna hear it really quickly.
Let's hear them.
He posted it. He said my picks were Topuria, round 3 TKO, and Shimaev, round 3 submission.
What's happening? Van's usually the decision heavy guy, and he's going knockouts here.
Right. Against both of us, really. Like, you thought it was a decision for Topuria. I think he goes with a knockout. He got Shimaev round 3 submission. He thinks Shimaev's gonna have enough gas in the tank in round 3 to pull off a submission win against Rob, who's never been submitted in the UFC. Interesting choice for Dan.
Anything could happen, but he might have seen into the future or something.
I sure hope
you never
not.
know.
I sure hope not.
We'll be counting our losses, never mind counting our wins, if that's the case. Right, cool. We will leave it there. Thank you very much for listening to the Combat Sports UK podcast. As always, we'll be back on Monday or Tuesday reviewing this unbelievable card. As always, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok and YouTube. There's loads of interviews coming out at the minute, and we're posting regular on all social media. So use us for your one-stop shop for all your combat sports, gossip, and news. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.